Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're going to look at one of the most fascinating cultural differences in the Christian world. You might have noticed that some of your Christian friends celebrate Christmas on 25th of December, while others celebrate it on 7th of January. Or maybe you've seen Christmas services in different churches that look completely unlike each other. In this video, we're going to explore a simple question. Why is one of the most important Christian holidays celebrated so differently around the world? Before getting into the differences, it helps to rewind a bit and look at the history. The Bible never actually gives a specific date for the birth of Jesus. For centuries, the earliest Christians didn't celebrate his birthday at all. Their focus was mainly on his death and resurrection, what Christians today call Easter. Things changed in the 4th century AD, when the church decided to set an official date for celebrating Christ's birth. They chose December 25th, but why that date? There are several explanations. One popular theory is that it overlapped with Roman pagan festivals like the feast of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, and the church wanted to offer a Christian alternative. Another reason is that this date falls close to the winter solstice, when days start getting longer again, a powerful symbol of Christ as the light coming into the world. Now we come to the main reason Christmas falls on different days, calendars. And the story behind this is surprisingly interesting. Up until the 16th century, the entire Christian world used the Julian calendar. This system goes back to Julius Caesar around 45 years before the birth of Christ. The problem was that it wasn't perfectly accurate. Every 128 years, it fell behind the actual solar year by about 1 day. That might not sound like much, but after about 1600 years, the gap had grown to roughly 10 days. In 1582, Pope Gregory XIII decided to fix this. He introduced a more precise system, the Gregorian calendar, which most of the world uses today. The Catholic Church adopted it, and later many Protestant churches did too. But the Eastern Orthodox churches didn't all follow. Many of them chose to keep the old Julian calendar. Their reasons varied. Some were theological, some were about preserving tradition, and some were tied to tensions with the Catholic Church and a reluctance to accept a change coming from the Pope. Because of this, the two calendars are now about 13 days apart. So when it's December 25th on the Julian calendar, it's January the 7th on the Gregorian calendar. That's why Orthodox churches in places like Russia, Serbia, Georgia, and Jerusalem celebrate Christmas on January the 7th. And the plot thickens. Some Orthodox churches, such as those in Greece, Cyprus, Bulgaria and Romania, have moved to the Gregorian calendar or a revised version of it and now celebrate Christmas on December 25th. In some countries, you can even find two Orthodox communities celebrating Christmas on different dates. But the differences don't stop at the calendar. The way Christmas is celebrated in church can look very different from one Christian tradition to another. In Orthodox churches, Christmas is part of a long spiritual journey. 40 days before the feast, believers begin what's called the Nativity Fast. During this period, many avoid meat and dairy, and on some days even oil and wine. It's meant to be a time of spiritual preparation and repentance. Christmas Eve in the Orthodox tradition is marked by a long, elaborate service that can last 3 or 4 hours. It's full of special hymns, extended prayers, and deeply rooted rituals. Churches glow with candles and warm golden light, creating a powerful sense of sacred space. In the Catholic Church, Christmas belongs to the season of Advent, which starts 4 weeks before December 25th. Advent is more about waiting and hope than strict fasting. One of the best-known Catholic traditions is Midnight Mass, a special service held at midnight to celebrate the birth of Christ. Catholics also love the nativity scene, a three-dimensional display of the manger scene with Mary, Joseph, the baby Jesus, and the animals. This tradition goes back to St. Francis of Assisi in the 13th century and is now common in homes, churches, and public squares in Catholic countries. Protestant churches cover a wide spectrum. Some, like Lutheran and Anglican churches, have fairly formal services that resemble Catholic liturgies. Others, especially evangelical churches, focus more on family, community, and the preaching of the Bible. Their services are often simpler with contemporary music and a strong emphasis on the message rather than ritual. There are also Protestant groups that don't celebrate Christmas at all. In the 17th century, Puritans argued that since the Bible never gives a date for Christ's birth, turning it into a feast is an unbiblical innovation. In some parts of early America, Christmas celebrations were even restricted by law until the mid-19th century. Today, groups like Jehovah's Witnesses still choose not to celebrate Christmas for theological reasons. One of the most beautiful things about Christmas is how it blends with local cultures around the world. In Russia, after about 70 years of official suppression during the Soviet period, Orthodox Christmas has made a comeback. Russians have Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost, who's not quite the same as Santa Claus. He arrives with his granddaughter, Snegorochka the Snow Maiden, to hand out gifts. In Ethiopia, Christmas, known as Ganna, is celebrated on January the 7th with impressive ceremonies. People dressed in traditional white clothing chant ancient hymns in gears and take part in a traditional stick and ball game that looks a bit like polo. In the Philippines, a majority Catholic country, Christmas is famously long. Festivities can start as early as mid-September. A key practice there is Simbang Gabi, a series of 9 early morning church services leading up to Christmas. Across Latin America, Christmas weaves together Spanish and indigenous traditions. In Mexico, Las Posadas reenact Mary and Joseph's search for a place to stay. In countries like Colombia and Venezuela, lively street celebrations, music and fireworks all show how local culture shapes the way Christmas is kept. With all these differences in dates, rituals and customs, it's easy to get lost in the details. But at the heart of it, Christians everywhere are celebrating the same core event, the birth of Jesus Christ and his message of love, hope, and salvation. The diversity of Christmas traditions highlights how rich and varied Christianity has become over the centuries. No single way of celebrating is more correct or more authentic than another. Each tradition reflects how particular communities have mingled their faith with their own history, culture, and identity. In a world where differences often fuel conflict, Christmas can be a reminder that people can be deeply different on the surface. Different dates, different languages, different rituals, and still share something profound. You can have multiple calendars, multiple styles of worship, and yet be celebrating the same story. So, to answer the original question, why does Christmas look so different across Christian traditions? There are a few key reasons. History and calendars. Some churches follow the Gregorian calendar, others the Julian. Theological and liturgical emphasis. Different traditions highlight different elements, from long fasts and elaborate rites in Orthodoxy to simpler services in some Protestant churches. Cultural diversity. Each region has blended Christmas with its own local customs and symbols. Major historical breaks. Events like the East-West Schism of 1054 and the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century have all shaped how different churches mark Christmas today.